Hello everybody, it's video blog time, and this is not the lighting. This is. It's like, what are you doing? So, the first video blog I ever did was music, where I talk a little bit about music in general, what it means to me. And then further down the video, I started talking about the main core subject that I tend to always talk about, which is DIY music. And that was 2017. If you go all the way down my video blog, you'll find it. It'll be the second video. The first video is something I uploaded later on of something that was older, so I put it first, you know. It was an old video that I uploaded, deleted, and then uploaded again later on. It's where I do a little tour of my studio. It was from back in 2010, so technically it's first. But even though my first video blog is called Music, it's the second video, so just check it out whenever you have the time. And actually, it's kind of funny because when I did that first one in I believe January 10th, 2017, I was not a dad yet, and I believe I mentioned it in the video blog. And sometimes I'll go back to listen to it, and one of the things that I always notice is that I look so like fresh-faced. Like, that's what, go take a look. Go down, like I said, go to the video blog, go all the way down. Well, maybe I'll just link it here. Yeah, I'll link it here. It's my first video blog in 2017, right before my daughter was born, and then if my son was born October 2018. So that's like the last you'll see of my face looking like that. That's the look of about 3.5 years ago of, is that what it was? My daughter's about 3.5, yeah, about 3.5 years ago of aging. From there to now. Just check that out. It sometimes makes me want to cry. Some people say, oh, Chris, you look the same. It's like, go look at that video. Anyways, throw 2020 on top of that as well. Anyway, so let me get on with it. So I always like to check in with my thoughts, like with that video. And it's not the first time I do this. Sometime last year, about 1.5 years ago maybe, I uploaded a 3-part series where I talk. Well, one of them was Welcome to the Age of DIY Music. The second one, I believe, was People Are Tuning Out of Award Shows. And the third one was Fame, Is It Worth It? Those 3 videos were kind of like my little check-in with that first music video, where I kind of see how things are going with DIY music, how it relates to the big industry of music. I always kind of separate the two. I'm in the music business. I'm not in the music industry. You know, it's a little different. And nowadays, artists like me get to, you know, reach you because of, you know, YouTube and all this stuff. Before, we wouldn't have a chance. And in the last video blog I uploaded, where I talked about like that thing that I don't really know what to call it. And it was just kind of me blabbering about like this thing about when people troll, and the difference between trolling and like the reality of things. You know, just check that video blog. It's the one right before this one. It's hard to say. I made these video blogs on the same day, so I don't really know what I titled that one. But just go down, you'll see it. I made the lighting difference, so it'll take 2 different days. I'm wearing the same thing. Anyways, so I kind of talked about that a little bit on the last video blog. But so to check in with those thoughts, like, where are we now? 2020 has been an insane year, as we all know, and my thoughts haven't changed that much, really. I mean, like, the industry is still doing what it's doing, and I've said that's going to be the situation. Neither am I calling for some sort of takedown of the music industry, but as time goes on, social media and the way things are just tend to change the industry. It's just how it is, and it's very. I do think that if they had it their way, it would be like a lot harder on artists like me. You know, give us the worst algorithm possible. Let us not be discovered because, you know, more for them, less for us. It's just usually how business is, right? But the people that work hard can find a way, and that's what people are trying to do, like in the case of music. And the reason why I mentioned the video blog I did prior to this one is because that's a big thing, to kind of see your growth. It's kind of hard to see your growth sometimes. You got to really be in check. You got to really know, like, what it is that is success even is, you know, and whether you even want that or not. And that's why I've talked about that before in the past. So anyways, I think the difference now between now and then when I said Welcome to the Age of DIY a year ago is obviously something we didn't all foresee, which is like this pandemic and just the way this year is insane. People are now on, using their phones as if we weren't using them like in too much last year. Now it's like pretty much like all we have other than exercising and kind of just being home, right? Or just, you can go about your life, but at the end of the day, it's like things are different this year. Completely different. Bands aren't playing live. I can't even imagine what AEG and Live Nation, what their situation is. That's probably horrendous. But luckily, we do have these tools. And it doesn't mean that gulf is getting any smaller between us and the mainstream. I mean, Taylor Swift just made an album, and when I'm on Twitter, I look around and they adore her, and I'm not saying anything necessarily bad about her. It's just, it's hard to fail when you're that person that's being talked up like a genius, She releases the album, it's pretty much no wrong she can do. I'm talking about like the publications that talk about music, like let's say your NPR Music, your Pitchfork, your Rolling Stone. That's more her domain, like Rolling Stone. Pitchfork would obviously be a little different, but every single one of these, like let's just say Twitter pages. That's where I'm at. I know they're web pages and they do more than just Twitter, but you'll see on Twitter they're throwing out these reviews, and it's like these amazing reviews for Taylor Swift's new album. I haven't personally heard it. I'm sure it's super polished. I'm sure it's super professional, and I'm sure the songs are good and they'll stay in your head. I'm sure it's good, But there's this thing that I think a lot of people forget about, and that is perception. Perception is absolutely almost everything, and it's hard to accept that as an artist, because there's artists that we love, right? And most of these artists are big artists, right? My computer just turned off. That's the noise you just heard. Anyway, so it's hard to accept that, because like for example, U2 is one of my favorite bands, right? It's hard to accept that one of the reasons I like them is because they're so big, right? When I went to their show last time, you could see the stage. On one of the last shows I saw from them, you could see the stage from outside the football stadium. That's how big the stage was. And I'd be lying if I said that I haven't repeated that to people. Like if that's a reason to like someone, because they're so big. U2 has more Grammys than any other band on the planet. Once again, I've probably repeated that to people too. Fame at the top is intoxicating in some ways, which is kind of funny, because that's exactly what I talked about in the last video blog, but kind of the other view of the other side of that. Like people that are just adoring that very top layer, greatest of all times, biggest of all time, that sort of thing. I get it. It's intoxicating. And like I said on the last video blog, it doesn't mean that everything else is terrible. And if you want to learn more about that, just go watch the video. I blabber a lot. But my point being is that in terms of like DIY versus the top, it's hard, because that's intoxicating. That's something people always, it's like when you win a Grammy, you are now always going to be introduced as like, 22-time Grammy Award winning Botto, Beyonce, so many Grammys, and people that have just won one Grammy, it's like you'll always be introduced as, one-time Grammy Award winning person, it's like this is like a life upgrade, and that's why I think so many people push to get to something like that, It's just something that's infectious, it's people want to be a part of something that's successful, that people approve of. This is one of the reasons why at the very bottom level of music, when you have an album, and even if you think it's good, it's very hard to get that out to people, because it has no stamp of approval. And people are still running through their including myself, going through your timeline, and so just rushing through it. Something stands out, you kind of look at it for a little bit, and you go through it. Even things you like, you'll go through it real fast. I like that, I'll get back to it later. Okay, and you might not, What chance does a small artist have that makes music to be listened to? Oh man, I really hope they get the meaning of that song. Oh, I really hope that they get to that last verse when I put that key change, or that little, what do you call it? It's got that little transition from this key to this key. I hope they get that little inverted chord there. It's kind of different, Hope they get there. Buddy, you're just going to get this, like, and that, and what chance do you have being a small artist is go, oh, look, they got 5 likes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. You know, and that's just how things are. That's how things are, and that's why at the bottom level, viral videos are rewarded to people that are, one, super good at an instrument, or have some sort of what do you call it, a gimmick going. So and so plays on a 1-string guitar. I've said that before. Blindfolded, you know, behind their back, you know, or just a drummer that's so amazing, a violinist that's amazing, maybe a 10-year-old guitar player that's better than most, you know, older guitar players, you know. So there's always something. It's like, or you can go all the way to the other side. 80-year-old grandpa, you know, 80-year-old great grandpa goes into a record store and shreds on the guitar, right? Viral. Like there's always something. It's just not. But here's the thing: at the very top, they can give you normal. You see, like Taylor Swift's new album, from what I've read and the reviews that I see going through my timeline, it's like kind of a folky album, right? It's kind of more like what she used to be. A little simple songwriting. Not that it's simple to write, simple to take in. And that's hard to do, but I'm just saying, like, it's normal, simple, good listening music, right? That's what's not rewarded in social media when you're just like, see? But that doesn't hurt her because she's got all the publications saying how good it is, right? Boof, boof, boof. And it ain't just her, it's pretty much anyone signing a record label. That's part of the branding. That's part of how it works, you know? They need to do that or else people are just going to, you know? And that makes the gulf not, you know, let's take some, there's all sorts of artists that have been able to fight that. And like I said, it's usually a reason for it. So something that stands out, like maybe you're an artist that's very funny, but also a very good musician, right? You use modern technology to be a very good musician, along with being a very good musician, but it's funny and it's edgy and it works. You know, that may, that's good. You know, that's good. And it works, you know. And there's all sorts of people that have managed to spear through and kind of punch through, and big labels are probably like, oh goodness, they managed to get through. How'd they do that? I thought we made it hard enough for no one to get through. Yeah, some people get through because they're able to do it. But certain art, let's take myself, right? I do things the way I want to do things, and I take things as they come. I know how my music can be seen, you know. I already know that, so what comes back to me, like, I'm okay with, because I choose that to be the art that goes forward. If I wanted to do something like that I think could work, I would do it, you know, for the views and for the maybe to get an upgrade in engagement. And I don't do it because I don't want to. And the people that do it, I'm not talking down. Those people do it because they want to, you know. So it's all the power to them, you know. And because and the main reason why is because at the end of the day, as cool as having a good career and making money and, you know, being successful, being happy what you're doing is probably a little more important if you can do it. Because obviously there's, you know, you have to live, you know, so you have to be able to. And so it's a balance, you know. If you want to do something, but you're like, man, I can do this, but I might get income if I do it this way. I don't really want to, but I'm going to take a sacrifice and do it because I need the money or I need this and that, right? Well, then, you know, then you got to do it. But if you have the means to be able to go for it the way you want to, then once again, do it that way. Just accept what comes from the things you throw out. Like me, like I say, like this is the way I do it. I know it's the way I do it. I know what I get is because of the stuff I throw out, you know, and it's what I mean to throw out. But I also know that in the world of social media, the way it is, like, it's not gonna work as good, you know, and I'm okay with that. I personally am okay with that. But if you're trying, you're like, man, like, this ain't working, like, then just take the cues I mentioned already. It's gotta be quick, it's gotta be fast, and it's gotta be something you don't see that often so that people will stop. Oh, I might get back to that later. And even if it is really good, even if it's perfect, like the perfect recipe for social media, it still might not do anything if you don't get that little bit of luck. Like, little bit of luck is it's everything. Like, And chances are, if you do the right thing, you will get it, because it's like the whole I make my own luck sort of thing, right? I mean, that is true. So if you do all the right things, don't be surprised that it still takes a while, but you probably at some point will get it rolling because you've made the right recipe, you know? So just like I said, take those cues earlier of what I said and what I think does work. So you get the few artists that come through, and it's kind of like, yeah, that top industry might be like, well, hey, man, they did it. Maybe we should sign them. You know, that's kind of a little bit of a ongoing thing too. Like these big artists that manage to get through, do they take that? Do they take the label offers? Do they take the chance, or do they not? You know, that's kind of something that remains to be seen. Like how that's gonna happen, right? Let's take Joe Rogan for an example, one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Like, he got a big deal with Spotify, you know, and he took it. At the same time, Joe Rogan does work for UFC, and he's been a part of big things. I believe he mentioned, I believe, that Disney signed him a long time ago for just like some sort of like what do you call it, development deal sort of thing. So I mean, he's had several big platforms over the years, but yeah, it was that sort of thing. He got signed to Spotify for a huge deal, right? Some of these people that have like lots of visibility may get those chances. It's up to them whether they want to take it or not, right? But it's not how it used to be. And I want to mention the Rick Beato vlog. I mentioned it in the last vlog I did. So Rick Beato, who is a blessing to DIY music everywhere, right? An absolute humbling knowledge of music. I write very simple songs. I try to make them interesting, but and it's a conscious thing I've done over the years. I try to keep them. I know the realm that I live in musically, and I enjoy it, and I stay with it for a reason. I believe the kind of music I play is very powerful in the live environment. And that's why I do it. I enjoy making music that is very heavy weighted emotionally, and a lot of times you won't even notice it on the recording. You'll hear a song of mine, but then you'll hear it in person. You'll be like, I like it more in person. I'm like, yeah, all the artists that I like are the same way. They're the same way. Like, I'll listen to it like songs from U2, right? You don't realize just how heavy hitting some of these songs are until you see them in person. And they're heavy. I'm not saying heavy metal, but I'm just saying they're heavy. Their message, the way they're played, they're heavy songs. Take a song like Exit from U2. I saw it live a couple of years ago. Oh, it's one of the heaviest songs I've ever seen live. Yet on the record, it's a good song, but you don't feel that weight as much. So I've been influenced with music like that, and a lot of the artists I listen to are like that. So it goes without saying that I've been influenced by that, and the music I make is kind of like that. Now, hopefully I'll finally get to the point where I get to play live, if any of us get to play live in the near future. Let's just say I think we will. And I get to that point, I can actually prove that. I can prove and, put my money where my mouth is and prove that my music does that, that it's more powerful live than it is on recording. And I know that because the people I like are the same way. And I've been a student of them. Anyways, so Rick Beato, nevertheless, Rick Beato makes me want to learn some skills, I'll tell you that much. He's amazing. And not just the music theory stuff, but also just the general knowledge of everything. Like, the video that I was talking about was about a band that just watch his video. But if you go to Rick Beato, it's Why Labels Suck. It's one of the last ones he put out. Most recent ones. And it's funny because in way smaller levels, like, I know exactly what he's talking about in that video. Exactly. The industry, and I'm sure it's still like this, but it just got this goofy energy to it. Like, when you get there and you're being a part of some of this like industry stuff, like the way he explains how the band was getting like scouted out of nowhere by all these people, it's just as goofy as the way that it ended up all falling apart. Like, it's like they're all like, not even thinking about this person. All of a sudden, oh yeah, we all want to be a part of this act. We all want to be a part. They don't even want. They just see and they're like, oh, okay, yeah. Then a couple months or 2 years later, it's like, who? I don't remember. It's so goofy, and it's ended the careers and bands of so many people. Like, horror story is a very regular term people use to describe things that happened in the music industry. Because it's true. Bands getting put on shelves, that and can't even, like, you think like, well, what's all, get dropped from the label? No, they can't. Sometimes they can't. It's like you sign this deal. It's like, man, what am I gonna do for the next 6 years? Or they write out this contract, or they're this is horrible. And that's why you see a lot of that. People just quitting. And you would think they got that contract, and it's like fantastic, but it's like they just want to get off, and that was what their dream was, and it's like they just want to get off. So it's like you got to learn from all that, and be like, okay, we got this shrinking gulf between DIY and the industry, and unless we conquer, and I'm sorry this is so scattered, but unless we conquer that thing, that problem of people just skipping through solid music, artists like me, and there's a ton of artists like me that are making, and I want to call it normal music, just normal music. And this is something that goes from, it's all genres. Like pop has normal music, metal has normal music, indie to alternative to country to rap, hip hop, dance, EDM, all of it. Like, you can make normal arranged songs in all these genres, try to name as much as possible, but I'm sure I missed a lot of genres. When you're scrolling through and you see the most viral thing, like there's a recipe for that. Well, this recipe of making normal music that exists through all these genres, like, is not going to catch your attention. Now, here's the problem with that, because you could just say like, well, work hard and figure it out. But the big people, the big industry, they're selling you that normal music, and people love it still. It sounds great. It's powerful when you hear it on big speakers. It's powerful. There's a reason why music sounds the way it does. Yes, I wish the mainstream music industry would release a little bit more like variety in the top like 200. But at the same time, it's like if you search just a little below the majors, you're gonna find good music, modern music. You're going for sure all over the place. But on the DIY level, it's very hard to get people to stop, because normal music takes 3 to 4 listens. Like, you don't always like music on the first listen. How many albums have you bought and it's like, yeah, nothing hit me, right? And then you hear it a few more times because you bought the record, you bought the album, so might as well hear it more, right? I mean, back in the day, you buy a tape and you have to hear it. Like, you bought it, you're stuck with it, right? A lot of times you start to get the songs after 3 or 4 listens, and here's the crazy thing. There's albums that I've heard to this day that it took me about 4 or 5 listens to like a certain song. Some of these songs are some of my all-time favorite songs, and it freaks me out to listen to that song and think, wow, how is it that at one point I had never heard this song, I gave it a go, and it didn't even hit me for the first 3 or 4 times, and I consider it one of the top songs I've ever heard in my life at this point. Isn't that weird how that can happen? Like, maybe I'm just not good at listening to music, or things sometimes do take a little while to hit you. Well, people on labels have the luxury of bashing you with promotion. They have the luxury of having NPR Music and Rolling Stone tell you how good it is, and it works. It works on me. It works on everybody. I'm over here saying like, oh man, I hope somebody hears those lyrics in the last verse. No one's gonna hear the lyrics from the last verse of my song, because they're gonna be going through like this, and they maybe hear the first verse, and they may even like it, but they might not ever go back to it. Whereas, with a Coldplay song, you may be going through Twitter, oh, Coldplay's new album, checking what the lyrics mean on this certain song. Like, they're telling you about the nuances of their songs. There's actual reviews for these, and they get into they do interviews where the person can elaborate, and if you're interested, you'll give them a shot, and after a while, you know where they were going, and you kind of listen in, and you hear the nuances. The smaller artists don't get that luxury, So I think the only thing about it is that I can say it until I can blabber no longer, which is a long time. But the truth is, it's just gonna reward people who fight for it, and there are scenes all across the United States of music. Every city you go to, there are scenes where there's bands and there's artists that are playing, you know, and some are more, you know, more popular than others. Some are working harder than others. But at the end, it's gonna reward the people that stick it out, for the most part. So I'm all for helping artists that want help and that want, you know, retweet this or retweet that. At the same time, I also know that at the end of the day, every artist is for themselves. And that's something that I think, I don't feel bad saying that, because it is the truth. And it doesn't mean that I wish, you know, for other bands to not be successful or other artists to not be. I hope that everybody reaches their goals. But at the end of the day, I'm chasing my goals, right? For my family, for me, for my past, to make the things that I've worked for have some sort of, what's that word? Purpose, you know, to search for that purpose and reach it. So there's going to be a lot of stuff you do for yourself. That's okay. It really is. That's okay. It's hard to do anything and be great at anything if there isn't a self of like, yeah, well, I need to keep doing this because, you know, for me, that's okay. Music is something that is for yourself, really. You know, it feels nice to be on stage and have people clap. It feels nice to be on stage and see people singing your songs. That you'd be lying if you said it, you know, I mean, if you don't like that, then you wouldn't do it, I guess, but, or you'd have some sort of fear of it, I guess, but for the people that get on stage and enjoy it, you know, it feels nice to do it. Don't be ashamed of that. But the people that work hard and try to find new ways, like me, sometimes going in circles with my video blogs, I believe at some point should help me out, you know, and in turn help other people out because of the messages and the little you know what, I was driving home, I heard this guy's vlog, I heard Chris's vlog, and he said something that, you know, it made sense to me, or it could even be something stupid that I say, man, you know what he said was really stupid, it made me think this, and this helped me out. So yeah, you know, things have a funny way of working out. And so this gulf, I do believe, is going to get smaller. As much as they don't really want it to, I just don't see how you can go backwards from it. Because when you got things like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube all giving you that shot, it's just, there's no, you know, things evolutionize, things change. Like that middleman, that middle person that throws music out, you know, or entertainment out, like, you're going straight to the fans. But I think there is going to have to be some sort of, I don't know, maybe it's just hard work. Maybe it's just hard work. Because it's just that reminder, just like my last video blog was a reminder of a feeling. This is a reminder of that. Remember, sometimes you got to give things a chance. Now, I'm not, this is not like, I do this too. I always try to like put my money where my mouth is with like, to check out DIY talent, you know, to check out bands that are working hard, artists that are working hard on this, because I always say that I want to do that, and sometimes I feel like, you know, it's just me, and you forget to do that. And just remember that music is something for the ears. I mean, it comes in and it helps your whole body at some point, and your mind, but it is something you have to listen to. And that way of going viral within music is really not something you're listening to. You are using your ears, but it's shocking you. It's got this little, oh, I didn't see something like that before. And, you know, maybe the genre that I'm talking, or maybe these genres that I'm talking about that make simple songs that are always in the movies, that are always, you know, on the top of the charts, maybe that's just gonna die out. And the only people that get to do them are the big people, because they're the ones that get to promote it and put it in your face. And maybe for us, it's just gonna die out, and artists like me just will not ever really get the songs to your attention. Maybe. And it's the sacrifice and it's the chances I'm willing to take because I love this style of music that I play. And it is what it is at the end of the day. I'll take that chance. But if it's me that is able to get through and get my Spotify from 27 listeners a month to 1,000, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to reach that. You know, if it comes through doing vlogs or whatever, all the playlists that I have here on my YouTube channel, and if it helps it out to get there, then the work was worth it. And if it doesn't, well, you know, there's some info on my page and you can take it with a grain of salt. So anyways, yes, it is shrinking. In terms of the vlog I made, my first one to now, everything I said, I'd still stand by it. I would still stand by it. It's getting more true. And this year, I think it's kind of fast forwarded quite a bit because of everything we're going through, to be honest. But we're still not quite there when it comes to that whole intoxicating thing of fame. How do we get people to be like, you know, I'm going to give this a chance, even though there's no one else that's echoing those sentiments, you know? It's a lot easier to be like, man, look, everyone sees the good thing. Everyone jumps on it, you know, including myself. How do you do that when there's no one jumping in? You know, it's kind of like you got to get that little luck. You got to get that little something. I don't know what it is. And I just hope if I just keep on, you know, throwing myself out, that looks funny. If I just keep on, like, you know, trying, something will work, you know. And the core of the stuff that I do is my music. And if you want to hear it, check it out. It's all there. Spotify, here, I'm on YouTube. That's what I do. That's what I'm going to keep on doing. I can't wait to play live, man. Oh, goodness. By the way, if you want to see me play little short snippets, go to my Instagram. I've been playing my songs lately and just uploading them to Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. YouTube, not so much. Maybe I'll do a compilation of those little snippets once there's enough. So yeah, check that out. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you can take something from it. It's improving. The whole mapping of DIY is improving. It really is. I'm seeing it improve. There's more like people that understand it's a thing, you know. And you know, all us, if you're an artist and you know, just keep going, man. Keep going and keep fighting. Keep trying to be creative, and don't give up doing what it is you really want to do if you're able to do it. You know, just fight the fight. You know. Hope everyone's doing great. Until next time, rock on. I'm gonna end this like I began it.